first, I want you to be like introduced to what we learned about Netflix, because Netflix has been really inspiring for us. Just to give you a little like summary of who we are, what we do. So we are a company called Cash Story. We are operating for 4 years now into the financial automation area. Basically, me, Jeremy, my brother Florent, we were both financial guys, and we were like so stuck into our Excel spreadsheet dealing with automation in VBA and all that. And we quickly realized that it wasn't the proper way to do stuff, right? So we decided to create to create our own company, and we started selling ourselves to different corporates in between our financial world and technical world. So we were basically the guys that were able to talk either to the finance guy or the technical people. And for 4 years, we've been doing Python scripting, basically. And those scripts connecting point A to point B were sometimes very complex and sometimes not so much complex. But one of the key clients we have, and we cannot talk about the client, obviously, but is some client that we are helping to gather all the data of their sales worldwide, and we are consolidating it and pushing it to their environment in production. And we spend so much time developing our scripts into Jupyter Notebook and integrating those scripts into the client's environment. We spend so much time doing that we said like, okay, can we do other kind of, is there any other way we can deal with the data without having to be stuck into the production, push to production system? I don't know if you guys rely on what I'm saying, but like pushing things to production is so heavy all the time. It's like 60% of the job all the time, like dealing with people, dealing with IT infrastructure problem, misunderstanding between the people. And so we looked at other ways to do stuff, and we finally realized that what we were building for ourselves, like an infrastructure where we had different instances of Jupyter Notebooks, were actually the way that also Netflix was seeing the access to data. So they are thinking it like a whole notebook infrastructure that enables all their company to access data. So as an introduction, if you guys are okay today, as a starter of our happy hour, I would like to pitch you what I've learned, what we have learned about Netflix, so you can have an idea of the direction we are going on with the product and why we will develop certain features and what is basically our roadmap, because it's mostly inspired by those guys, and they have produced ton of really cool material that help us like see clear into the way we have to develop the product further. So just for a start, Netflix is 2020 is $24.9 billion. So it's like crazy increasing, and they are doing most of their turnover internationally. They are like literally almost everywhere. You can see in different like countries there, they are not present, and you probably guess why. And they are also streaming videos on every device. So they have a big problem to manage data at scale, you know? It's like a big topic for them. And what they do and how they do it is really a question we ask ourselves, and we like try to understand that. There is tons of material on the web. You can find videos, you can find like articles, you can find so much stuff from different people at Netflix that are pushing new ideas and sharing their way of doing data. So it was really inspiring for us. And as we were doing our notebook infrastructure on our side, when we realized that Netflix was really doing it, it was like mind-blowing for them. I don't know if you remember Maxime or Martin, when we like realized that Netflix was actually in the same direction, we totally went crazy. Like we were so interested in knowing more and having more data. So I'm happy to be here with also, and I didn't present the guys, Martin, which is our CTO, Maxime, which is our infrastructure guy, is the guy that installed everything on the AWS server and at machine level. And we are also with Florent, my brother, which is the CEO of the company. And we are also with Valentin, the head of partnership and sales. And we have Sanjay, which is helping us in the core team to build templates for the different users. So this is the team, and this is why we want to share with you tonight these ideas of how Netflix is managing data at scale, because it's really impacting the way we see and build the product today. So what about Netflix and Jupyter now? Just a few like data interesting. Like they have 1 trillion events every day sent to their data pipelines. So 1 trillion, I don't know if you imagine, like it's big. It's like really, really big. And they have also more than 100 petabytes of data saved in their data warehouse also every day. So that's huge amount of storage they need. For the record, I think that they have like, they account for 30% of the total bandwidth of US traffic on Amazon. So it's huge. And they run like 150,000 jobs every day for their data analysis. So massive, massive infrastructure. They use it for streaming data like efficiently in our device. And they basically try to enhance the experience of the user and also lower the consumption of energy, like of computing power, of everything. So those two principles, we also have them in mind. Like we want to better the experience on the Jupyter notebooks, and we want to lower the consumption of your Naas instance. And this is the two things that we really like kind of connect with. Obviously, we have no idea of becoming Netflix, but we are like so inspired and so happy to see that those guys can show the direction of how data can be managed and how to serve the people. So less energy consumption, better user experience. This is the motto for us also. So Netflix is, this is a 20 plus years old business that was previously this CD on CDs and everything, renting, and slowly they became like a streaming platform, and they started like building this platform, and they put everything in data. Like they are really, when you are binge watching Netflix, they are binging all the data they are having from you. So the thing is, with this little platform, they are making incremental changes every day. So this is also one interesting thing. Like they are not making a big bang when they change something in the platform. They always like have this specific feature they will change, and they are making incremental changes and A/B testing all the time. So it's kind of a cool and interesting way to see their philosophy also, because they want to increase small and little pieces of software and not making big changes all the time. The idea that they are also like spending billions now. From the 24 billion they have, they are investing billions in original content for producing content for themselves. So all those things like Stranger Things or all those cool movies you see on Netflix, they are also triggered by the data they have from the different region of the world. How people like navigate on their platform give them a lot of information on what they can push and what they can invent to make the people like and go for new content that they are producing. So that's why those guys have really, really been the real data-driven company of this century. Like they are literally winning all the line when it's regarding data-driven strategy. And I'm going to just dig a bit deeper on this. They have been using data to personalize search, to create content for the studio, to make business operation running, to enable marketing and operation and growth, and to enable the streaming experience. So data is pretty much everywhere for them, and they want to use data for any decision they make. So when you look at the videos they do and what they say on those YouTube channels they have, is that they are really triggered by the data. So for the Netflix data team, it's like their duty to provide an infrastructure that enables them to get accurate data all the time to take data-driven decision. And when a decision is not data-driven, then they may not take this decision, because gut feelings is only what they don't want to do. They just want to be relying on their data and make sure that this data is becoming better and better. And when there is a quality problem, quality issue, they prefer to like delete the data and have a curve that makes a drop with nothing versus giving like inaccurate data. So this is also what they say in their videos. This is all what you hear now, and what I say to you is something that I've learned from all those videos I've watched from them. And it was really, really motivating to see that they have this mindset of also making data accuracy a real topic. I know that Jerome, you're here and you're also very cautious about this data quality and how we can make data operations. Those guys are really having the data ops strategy in their blood. Like they want to make sure that everybody access correct data and categorize this data properly. So this is really inspiring. Another thing is like all the content you see on Netflix on your account is 100% personalized. So it's like you have not the same Netflix than your friend, and everything is like changing. You see that the different background and stuff, they are testing background and stuff all the time like this. But the way to put the information is really how they want to trigger you, like looking for more in their platform. So about their data infrastructure, which is the topic we want to talk today. So this is their infrastructure. So in short, and I'm not the expert, so I may let the guys talk on it, but the subscriber watches information, like watches movie on the platform. This movie triggers events. It's a list of events of data, and they are using Kafka to do so. Then they send to Amazon Web Services. They are fully deployed on Amazon services. They take the raw data, they store it into the data warehouse, and then they have those two options. Like they run the data pipeline on this storage to make like data more accurate. And they have this fast storage also that enables them to have like you tell me if I'm wrong, Maxime, but it's more like they want to have a long-term kind of storage and a short-term, like it's like long-term memory and short-term memory, or am I wrong?
Yeah, so basically when you store data on S3, and if you need to query this data, it won't be like very efficient. If you want to run like big SQL queries, that's why they have, for example, if on fast storage on the left, we see Redshift. So with Redshift, it's basically PostgreSQL instance, so columnar tables, where you can run very big like SQL queries on your data lake, and you will get directly like an answer. So it's costing like way more than S3, because for S3 you only pay for storage, but on Redshift you have access to, you are able to run queries. You don't have to build aggregation prior to the storage or anything. So yeah, definitely it's in memory.
It's like in memory. It's like the short-term memory and the long-term memory kind of thing. You may,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, and it will make sense. It will make sense for them to store data on S3 and maybe just have a subset of the data in Redshift. So let's say I don't know, the last 2 days, and run data on this, compute and store the result maybe in S3 or somewhere else.
Yeah, and so that's why they have also that data pipeline on the side here that makes the data storage. So they have different layers of storage. They store the raw data, then they store the aggregated data or the detailed thing. You know, I don't know. Is it this way? Like they want to have different layer of storage also? This is the strategy.
Yeah. So on S3, basically, you will be able to archive the data and the results, while on Redshift, so they are generating every day a lot of data, as you showed before in this presentation.
100 petabytes.
Yeah, and I saw on AWS that there is a case study where it's saying that they are managing 100,000 servers, and the article is 3 years old, so I guess it's way more now. But whoa. So basically on S3, you will be able to archive the data and the results. So let's say you want to run some computation. So you see on the left, you have the data pipeline where we see Presto, Pig, Spark. So this should leverage maybe an Hadoop cluster or directly Amazon Athena to query the data on S3. But this will like generate, it will take a long time to run because the query will need to go over all the S3 prefixes, extract the data to build the result. While in Redshift, you will be able, like your data scientist will be able to play with the data, and it will be way quicker to get an answer. And with the amount of data they have, I think that's why they use Redshift, because running Presto queries on S3 might take a long time. So yeah, doing them on Redshift might be like way quicker for them. And also, the other thing you have when you use Redshift or Elasticsearch is that you can like connect. So you see on Datadriven, you have Tableau. So we can also think about AWS QuickSight, etc. So you could have dashboard to visualize the data you have in Redshift or Elasticsearch.
Yeah, exactly. So this is why they have this guy, which is having the Dataviz tool, which is querying the fast storage, and this girl, which is having the interactive query, and then they can get the data from the data storage or the fast storage. So basically, it's all for enabling the users to be accessing different kind of data, fast or more deep. Like it's like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like if you want to go fast, you do this, and if you want to go like deep, you do that.
Yeah, but also let's say they want to run a query on the last year, all the events from last year. They won't be able to do it inside Redshift because like there is too much data, and they won't like ever fit all the data into a Redshift data lake. So they need to have a way to query this data, and they will do it using Presto. So directly running the queries on S3, while if it's like running queries on like kind of recent data, they could do it on Redshift because there will be less data to query.
Exactly. And one thing they say in their videos is like, okay, what we want to do ultimately is we want to enable everybody in the company to be able to like query like how much people did watch this movie yesterday night between this hour and this hour. So the example they always take is this sentence. So it makes sense, right? Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, and this is interesting because here, and here we can see our famous Jupyter notebook instance. So do you guess what they do and why is it located in those 3 regions? Can you guess about it?
Me?
Yeah.
I didn't saw the videos, so yeah. So basically, when you have Spark, Pig, Presto, or even R, Python, like you need to have your code running somewhere. You cannot just like write some code and run it inside on S3. So you need to store it somewhere and play with it and be able to query effectively Presto and run the query. So I guess every time they need to query a data lake, they are using Jupyter notebooks because it's very easy to write. It's very easy to collaborate on them. So I don't see why they wouldn't use Jupyter. Yeah. And for the record, those guys from Netflix, if you look at you still see my screen, right? Yeah, we do. So I was talking to this guy called
Sylvain. And so he confirmed to me like he's French and he's following Naas project also. And so they are like literally contributors of the Jupyter instance, because all those heavy users of Jupyter are like also contributing, and they are part of the steering committee. So you can see Kyle here from Netflix is actually heavily contributor of. So now we are entering the story of this Jupyter tool, which is everywhere. Like you can see Spark and Spark here, but like literally in all different use cases, data pipeline, interactive query, or data viz, you can see the power of this tool, which is enabling like interactive computing for different use cases. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, and I bet they are using Jupyter to trigger a Spark job.
Yeah, most likely. Most likely. And interesting also is the way they see their organization. They have 3 layers, they have the data products, the data insight, and the business decision and product improvement. So think about it this way, like all those guys, they have access to a Jupyter notebook. Like they have different kind of access, but everybody is finally querying data on notebooks. So it's the ultimate layer of understanding and access of the data they are using. So I guess they are like giving the executive a kind of notebook which is already like triggering a visualization, which is cool, and other kind of data scientists or data engineers that are more into querying the Presto DB and what you said. But all those guys, finally, it's like they have a Word document. Jupyter Notebook can be seen as this mix of Word document and an Excel, because they have the cells where you can put the markdown, you can put the code, and you can run the code. So as you said previously, Maxime, you also did it recently in one other project, right? Where you actually put the markdown and the cells, and so your guy were like the client was happy about seeing these two things together, right?
Yeah, because with Jupyter Notebooks, it's very easy to like explain your code, what you do, and you can run every cells independently. So even while you are writing your Python code and you are only like updating a single function, and when you are on an AI/ML pipeline, you don't want to rerun everything. So having the opportunity to only rerun a cell, it makes it like very easy to play with.
Pretty cool. Yeah.
And time saving.
Yeah, really time saving, and time is money. So all of those times you don't spend in like pushing code, and like there is also this aspect of pushing code to production all the time and compiling and everything. So this is really time saving, money saving, and insight. The insights like are really faster, and they really can take decision on daily basis based on data. Whereas so much companies today are stuck with consolidation at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, even when you talk about financial and accounting data. So it's so much time you spend into compiling the data and not having access live to it, that you are missing decision every single minute. So this is why they want to avoid this, and using Jupyter Notebook is probably the best way to do so. So it was interesting to see that even research, quantitative data scientists, all those different layers from the business analyst, everybody is using this data access layer. For the record, also, Jupyter Notebook is about 8 to 10 million people. That it's an estimation, said Sylvain to me last time we talked, because they don't really know the number of people, but it's an estimate of between 8 to 10 million people using Jupyter Notebook worldwide. So there is a lot of people who realize that this interactive computing is cool, but putting this instances as a cloud instance where you don't have it installed on your computer, but you are using cloud computing power to access data is another game, right? This is why we have been struggling a lot with the installation on AWS with Maxime, with Martin, with Florent. We spent like the whole year last year was iterating on this proper infrastructure. it was kind of a good deal to discover all those problems, but also fixing them on the go. And I think we've learned a lot last year, right?
Yeah, definitely. It was very interesting.
And I really think that's not the end.
And that's not the end.
Yeah, as we have seen, more we use Jupyter notebooks, more we have bigger needs. For example, we have many users who wants to run ML pipeline, and our current usage is made most for CPU usage, not GPU usage. So we have to find a way to manage this too, to allow user to switch for GPU or CPU, to allow user to have a bigger machine just for one specific use case when they need a big capacity of the machine. We have a lot of work to improve because this is just the beginning, and we are working with the Jupyter team to have this use case capability in Jupyter, because most of them doesn't exist, or we are just the first user to use it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but it's also really cool because this is like a kind of a new era of access to data. When I was starting back in 10 years ago in companies, I was stuck. I was saying to myself, my goodness, if I have to stay in the Excel spreadsheet all my life, I'm going to kill myself, because it was too slow, unable to access, no ability to go fast, no ability to query live information. It was so bad. I was feeling so frustrated by all this Excel stuff that now that we can combine interactive computing to different database, and it can finally go to an Excel in the end. We don't care. Excel is a good tool if you want to explore data, if you want to drill and have a modeling thing. But querying and having access to data is really the center of the problem. And having nice data accessible is really not that easy. So I'm really happy that we are trying to solve this thing. So if we keep on the technical side, I found out this thing, and we are introducing the scheduling part here, because when we look at their infrastructure here, guys, it's about a scheduler here called Mason and Papermill. Can you, Martin, talk a bit about this and how Naas is doing some part of those jobs to make the orchestrator? Because basically, for those who don't know exactly what Naas is, you can see it as an orchestrator, right?
Yeah, clearly it is. The funny thing is they call it maison, who look like a house in French, and it's housemaid, and we did the same. For our use case, we made the scheduler housemaid, because the one from Netflix, sorry, I lose this day name. The one from Netflix and the other you can find on the market are for big corporate, made for that. So it's to manage a big data pipeline and have a very big infrastructure, but made for different kind of person. For us, the need was to allow everyone who knows how to use Jupyter knows how to schedule something. And this goal was pretty difficult because there are no tools for doing that. Most of the time you have to push to GitHub with a code versioning system, and then it goes by an automatic system in production in Maison and other tools they have to run the notebooks. And to make it run, they use another open source project whose name is Papermill, and we use this one too. This one helps anyone who wants to run notebook without running Jupyter be able to do it. So when we found these tools, we were like, okay, maybe we can find a way to allow user to schedule notebooks without staying in Jupyter, as you have to do when you are in Colab, for example. You have to stay in run the notebook whenever you want, or use a Chrome extension to run it when you want, but your computer have still to be on and unlocked, otherwise it will fail. So we choose to use Papermill in this way, to allow you to just say, I want to schedule every morning, every 2 minutes, like at the period, the cron period, which is very used in a developer environment, the cron syntax. So maybe you can show it.
Yeah,
if you
definitely.
Cron guru.
This is the, so I'm going to show cron. For those who don't know, cron guru. Cron is the it's kind of the most used
useful website ever for
scheduling system. So you have all this example here. If we take the example, so every 6 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 30 minutes, every 20 minutes, every 20 minutes is written like this. So when you're entering Naas, you can see here Naas.scheduler add, and this recurrence, which we could have said cron, actually, it should have been shorter. But then you have this thing here, which is exactly this. And so this is the scheduling system we have put in place. And it's funny because we actually mixed the two frustration. Like the one from Martin was, I don't want to be taking care of pushing code to GitHub and stuff like this. I don't want to have heavy production system environment. And my thing was, I want to be able to schedule my Jupyter notebook as simple as an Excel, like an Excel formula. Please give me something like I could use as an Excel formula. And it was exactly this combination of both frustration who made the scheduler like this. You remember this time of the year where, like I was saying to you, what if we could do like a layer of Python code that was so simple that would be anyone like coming from Excel would be able to use it.
Yeah, I totally remember this moment where we think like, oh, but it should be, you think that it should be like as simple as an Excel formula. I was like, yeah, but it's pretty difficult to do that in a developer side because all the examples are very, very heavy process. Most of the time it took a lot to make it happen. And we were like struggling a lot to find a way to do it in the self notebook you are currently working on. It was not an easy way to do it, but we finally find this easy way to create a Python module because Naas is a Python model. You can find it on Pipe. I don't know the name, how to say it. The name in English is PyPy. Too much A.
Yeah, so Naas is here.
Yeah, we built it as an open source project and allow everyone who knows how to install a Python module to install it. So you can install it in your own environment and you will be able to schedule, of course, notebooks if you stay with your computer up. And the goal or platform help you to have this like as a real production and a safe environment because your computer is never safe. No one put his website on his computer. Even if it can work, you can have your own website on your own computer at home, but no one do it because you can have something goes wrong at home, like no internet, no electricity, or just the computer go off or everything. So of course, it can be cool to have it at home, but to have a real production environment managed by something very trusted like AWS, with like 99.99% up most of the time. It's less than 6 minutes by year, I think, or maybe less.
Yeah, we calculated that. It was like they are the only one.
Yeah. How much did you say, Maxime?
I said not much.
Yeah, I think it's less than 6 seconds, no? It's something like totally crazy.
Yeah, depends of the service. You don't have like every time the same SLA, but yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
hello
pretty
to
safe.
AWS. If you hear us,
Thanks.
give us more credits.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's this also Kubernetes and Docker, which is maybe why we can also talk about the way we have built the Naas as an orchestrator. Was also the topic of having independent machines.
That's something no one gets for now with Naas, because it's when you use the software usually on website, it's like you have an account and that's just a row in a database, a new user. But in Naas it is not. Each user gets his own computer in Naas, in our platform. We build just a computer for you, and you are the only one who can access to it. So it's kind of more than secure, because there are no you have seen many websites or many services being hacked by someone who want to store data. But for us, if someone hack our database, you just have your email on it, and that's it. All your data is in your own machine. So to hack it is way more difficult to find a way to hack it, because it's like each one is in own house, his own computer, but in the cloud.
Yeah, exactly. So we really wanted to make it like, even if it's a SaaS version of it and it's like hosted, then you're still sure that you have your own machine. And having your own machine, and in the end, what you remember what I've said is like, in the end, we are basically building data engine. Like we are building private engine for everybody to get his own and be able to work and go his own way. Basically, we are building machine, we are building engine. You put script, which are the plans of your driving session, and you do wherever you go. Wherever you want to go. So it's really the idea of autonomous but it's like it's private, it's autonomous, but you're still managed into the Naas Galaxy. And this is why we want to provide this safe production environment, production ready environment for Jupyter Notebook, which was, if we come back to this, less complicated than what we've seen here, basically, no? Because it's more.
It's like pretty different. For us, we have only one Jupyter Hub server with the manager of each computer for you. Like you have one computer, I have one, Jeremy have one, and Jupyter Hub is the manager of that. Maybe you have
this schema is working or this?
Internet availability zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's more about server architecture, because we have, of course, we have one Jupyter Hub who manage each machine, but each machine, I mean,
it's too low level.
It's very low level. Above this, we have Jupyter Hub who manage your user server, and then AWS find a place somewhere in the AWS cloud, a space for your machine. So this is the schema for that. But otherwise, the schema of Jupyter is pretty simple. We have the hub, who is the host of every input and output. When you go to the website, this is the hub who will receive it and redirect it to your own machine. When you start your machine, you see this change happen.
This is it.
So yeah.
And
do you want to come back to what we was
to this one?
To that. So then inside each machine we have put Naas in both way. By that I mean you have a client part who you will use. sorry, was a bit difficult. It's when you do import Naas and Naas add a scheduler, for example. This is the part you use, and a second part you don't see, but is running in each of your machine is the Naas runner. It's called like that, and this one has Papermill inside, the library, open source library we have speak before. And when you do, for example, Naas scheduler add a notebook, this notebook is sent to the runner. The runner save it in a safe area. We call it the production. So inside the production, this is saved. And then the runner will check every minute for all scheduler and check if it's matching to your cron syntax, the recurrence, we call it. So if it's matching, it will start inside Papermill your notebook. So it will look like it have been start in Jupyter, but it's not. It's in Papermill, but Papermill and Jupyter are very, very similar. Like the runner will try to see if there are other notebook to run, and if it's not, he stop until the next minute.
I realized that this was most actually accurate to show this schema.
Exactly, that's the good one. We do exactly that.
So
thanks.
Runtime manager, runtime process, store input. Yeah, at first I was like, is that the good thing or is that the other one I should show? And I was like, okay, maybe
but
the
first one is the one we use by the general architecture of Netflix, and this is what we use. If you just put a box around Papermill, runtime manager, runtime process, this is Naas.
Like this.
Yeah, this is Naas runner. I mean, yeah, without color, it will be better. Yes, this is the Naas runner. This is the job and what it does. And of course, it do more job with the assets and the running by webhook, because we find it was cool to do it at every minute, but it can be also useful to just call an URL and make the notebook run. It was so evident for many situations, like connect to Zapier, connect to another tools. It's solve a lot of issue about automatization when you can do that. And the runner did it.
For the guys who don't really understand like how we are, because so much time I say like we are like a Zapier kind of, we are an open source Zapier made for data automation and artificial intelligence, basically. So this is why we want things to be open. The notebook is open. So all those triggers and actions you can see in Zapier, basically it's everything in the notebook for us. And then you can like safely run everything you want, and the pipeline will flow without you taking care of pushing anything to production. Thanks to Naas Runner. Am I right? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
That should be fun.
We are using a lot of our own product.
Yeah, all the time. We are eating our own dog food. What else should we say? Like on the philosophy of Netflix, this is interesting as well. You have the users. The users enter the Jupyter notebooks. Then they want to visualize, schedule, share, and take decision action. But what is missing in this thing is facilitating the whole scripting experience. When you want to access tools, you need to have drivers. And the drivers are literally what we are also calling drivers in the product, which are the facilitator of accessing different kind of tools. So maybe if you guys have seen the video on YouTube, where I show how to connect to Google Sheet and everything, you see that it's a very simple formula as well as the scheduling. So we want to enable everyone to access tools really easily with only putting a few variables and not having to write like 50 or 100 lines of code to access one thing, which is actually not the job that they want to do. They just want to access and then do stuff with it. So why having 50 lines of Python to do it if you can just call a driver? So this is also a layer of action where we focus with the product. But we are going to go and summarize it in a few minutes. So if we sum it up, we want live access to data with Notebook. We want to share notebooks with a simple link, to run it with a simple line of code in the formula with the scheduler. We have seen it here with this kind of thing, Naas scheduler add. And we also want to basically do everything with Notebook, because we feel like it's possible to do it. Every job inside our own company, we are using notebooks for them. When you are creating your account, it's triggering a notebook through API. When we are sending batches of email, it's through a notebook that connects to our CRM and that are sending this data. When we are sending ourselves report every day of how people use the different notebooks, we like to follow usage and so much stuff we need to take care of. We are using scheduling activities. When I'm making myself reminder to send, to check on things, I even use notebooks now to make reminders by email to myself, because there is also this notification feature. So what are the challenges we are facing? We are facing the same challenges as those guys from Netflix, basically. And this is what they say. First, kernel stability. This thing, you need to take the word of Martin or Maxime about it. What about kernel stability? Do you feel also we have this pain?
Yeah, in fact, if in the past years we are working on Jupyter, our most bigger problem was if each user has his own machine, it means if you run a big script, it will go above the capacity of his machine, and so this machine will stop to work, and the kernel will stop also to work. So you can have your kernel killed because you use too much process
resource.
Resources. Thanks, better word. So this is a very difficult issue, because even if you build a super big architecture, you have a limit. So the limit is still there, and you have a problem with that. So it's very difficult to find a way to do that, and Jupyter just managed to do that, but they are not it's not well implemented for now. And we have tried to switch to this new process, which is called enterprise gateway. So the trade-off of this solution is to put each kernel in its own machine to have the size we want by kernel. Because now, if you run two scheduler,
you say.
In fact, now if a user run two cells or two files at the same time, both kernel will be run in the same machine. So one can eat the other one by the process usage, or even if your own machine can be stuck, your user can be, how to say that, you cannot continue to use the website because of your kernel is using too much processes or memory. So this is a difficult trade-off to find about the kernels. And even if in each kernel, you have to be very careful about where they run and what is the space they takes. So with the new system, we will be able to have more stability. But even if with that, this is a continuous job to find better way to run kernels. Because for now, you still don't have 99.99% like Amazon. You have good quality, and it's going better every day because the Jupyter teams work a lot on that with the big person of Netflix and others, but it's still a difficult job because it's also kind of new to to run a lot of things inside Jupyter's like that.
Nice. And then comes the second challenge, which is native data visualization. So this is another topic we have worked on with Sanjay and myself, but we are still at the very beginning of it. Like having a good way and simple way to generate a plot, a graph, is not that easy. So we have made a driver enabling us to quickly visualize.
Maybe you should a bit explain what is a driver versus Naas and Awesome notebooks, because we have three different. Yeah, we have three different.
There is three layers. Yeah, I'm gonna go there. Then what is the vision we have? So we want to work on three layers. These three layers. The objective of Naas is to use notebook as a medium to make data, automation, and AI accessible to everyone. And by everyone, we mean literally everyone. So anybody that wants to access data should be able to have his own data engine that enables him to access. So those guys who don't know coding, they want to use templates. And this is the awesome notebooks, why the awesome notebooks are here. But also it's facilitating stuff for people who already know how to code, but they just want to assemble a nice script without having to rewrite everything or to search on the web for long hours of useless time spent for them. So the notebooks
as
are
we
there
know.
for them.
Wait, I have a joke. As we know, all developers are very lazy. So when we have templates, we prefer to use it instead of code ourselves, like everyone. Finally.
Yeah. Then we have those drivers, and this is what I was saying before. Like drivers enable us to access tools, basically, easily. Templates are more like workflows, and drivers are more like enablers to access data. And then you have the features. And this is why in the website, you have this access to the documentation, which is here. Wow, again, we are not yet SEO friendly, but here it is. The Naas features and the Naas drivers and the templates. This is how it goes. So templates for already made workflow, ready to use notebooks. Drivers for enabling access to tools and complicated, like basically when you have 50 lines of Python and you don't want to write those 50 lines, we want a driver to do it for us. And the features, which are the features you see here. So scheduler is the king feature. Then you have the API, sharing assets, using callbacks, dependency, and we will make every week we try to do, like, this is a more introductory call we do today, like live session, but we want to go deeper into all the different topics here because they are all very interesting. You can even save keys, send notification, create your own domain. We'll try to make different session every week for that. So coming back here, like notebooks, driver, and features, I think it's better, it's clearer now why we try to use drivers to make native database more easy. So basically, you want to access your data visualization tool with only a single line of coding as well, and not with like 10 or 15 lines of Plotly or whatever other system you want to use. This is sometimes you need the very simple configuration. You just want your data set to be mapped to a column called value and to be mapped to a column called data or date. And you want this to be a line chart. So you want to have actually three things: the column of value, the column of the date, and the kind of database you want. You don't want to change more than 3 variables, but for so much tools, you need to write like tons of lines to configure this thing. So we are trying to also work on the native database enabler. Then you have this native database, native integration via drivers, scheduling, intuitive logs and messages, and then templates for business users. That's the main thing. And then is source control and versioning. So versioning is also a big topic. We are so disappointed to see that every time in GitHub, you want to trigger a notebook, and our repository of notebooks shows it very well. It's sometimes tricky and it's not loading properly. And there is this topic of versioning the notebook properly, which is quite like sometimes it shows, sometimes it doesn't. So there is quite a lot of experience issue and also more technical issue about the versioning. So basically, how do we take care of this, Martin? Is that we back up what we have. We basically back up. Sorry.
About the versioning, we work, and I have talked a bit about earlier. The idea is pretty simple. Each time you hit the sentence add something in Naas, like add naas.scheduler.add, it means we copy your file and send it in production. And each time you send it, we do a different copy. So we don't erase the last you have sent. So we have a kind of versioning about each version you push to production. So that's how we do the source control. And in plus of that, if you want a double security, you can connect inside Jupyter your GitHub. But not everyone knows GitHub, so we find a way to do it ourselves. To have for everyone a way to have a versioning, but you can put in plus GitHub if you need it. That's how we do it, and
GitHub
you
is
can But GitHub, it's made for developer, and even if I am a developer, I don't like GitHub, and many developers are complaining about GitHub because it's an old tool now, and it didn't fit the needs we have now, with very more simpler than 10 years ago. So maybe it will be replaced one day by something new. Just the last things about versioning. Something very important is even if we save each version, we build also a way for you to get each version you send in production. So to save it for you, it's cool, but to be able to list all the version you have by date and get it, it's things we built for you, because it was like when you, in fact, I have seen many times Florent use Naas and erase file and need to copy, paste, and save on his own computer, and I was like, wow, why it need to do that? So we take just a step back and try to have a look why he did it. And as everyone, he didn't want to use GitHub because it's a bit complicated. You have to understand the branch or to merge things, and that's don't want to merge, and merging with notebooks is a mess. So you're like, what? Why is so complicating? I just want to save each version I send. And because of him and other user, we were like, okay, maybe we should build a system version where we allow you to save each version and to get back each version. Ooh. Difficult to say again, but that's what we have done on that.
Cool. Yeah, and that's basically ending the challenge. And we will talk about the error messages, because we also, when you're scheduling some stuff, we also want to make it really easy to get the error message right. So if I'm sending myself copy here and go into here, Naas notification. So if I want to send myself a notification, the error message is always try to be friendly and handy. So also when we are adding this line, which is the scheduler, you can see that I can send myself an email automatically every single minute. And we are trying to make sure that at every minute of every day, which is here the cron schedule, but here
you have to change it for every minute.
If we want to have it every minute of every day, we are trying to make error message also really, really friendly. and not having this big red part where you can actually fear of something very bad happening because it's a red thing, versus the problem which is not so much a big deal.
In fact, we try to make it easier each time we find it. But even if for us or anyone who knows a bit about Jupyter, most of the time you get the habit of the error, so you didn't see it as a big things again when you start to use it a bit. So each time a user reported to us like it's weird, he didn't understand what happens, we try to improve it. For example, you just try to copy paste a file inside your getting started folder, and this is an issue people have reported. And even if you, Jeremiah, you did it, you have to copy paste in the same folder, and it's not allowed because it's a shared folder.
It's a reader
everyone has. Yeah, and for now, no one knows how to copy a folder. Now we know, and Jeremy know how to do it, but most of people, when they start, they just feel it will not work. But we are going to improve it, because each time we see a pain like that or something unclear, we are committed to help users to don't have this pain again. Like for the message, first time you see a big error like the one you have shown, Jeremiah, with the big red things with LinkedIn. This one is very painful to see, because read a developer error message is a mess. Like you need 1 year of school just for that. So we try to make message as you have shown, to make it easy.
Friendly.
Yeah, friendly, just friendly.
Yeah, just friendly. So this is the main challenges we face. So now you guys knows that we are working on that stuff, and this is not even the list from us. This is the list from the guys from Netflix as well. So they are also dealing with that stuff. We cannot see what they do, but in Naas, you can help us improve the problems they also have and give us feedback. So don't hesitate to do that. This is why we are making this an open source project, so that everybody can contribute and give feedback. Coming back to to sum it up, like, it's basically design oriented, what we are trying to do. Simplifying error message is a really cool example of it. We want things to be simple, integrated, and collaborative. If you want to share your notebook, you also have a possibility to share the asset. We'll talk about it later, but basically simple, integrated, and collaborative is the way. Just a quick reminder that we want to talk to everyone, even those guys on the top right-hand corner, which are not supposed to use any notebooks. Because people don't really have to understand all the complexity. They just can use the templates. And this is the topic. It's like, you don't really need to learn and to know everything. You just need to know that by changing a few variables, you can make things run, and it can be supported, and you can have confidence that people are here to help you if there is anything missing. This is what we want to provide to the users, and this is what also the Netflix data team wants to provide to their internal employees. To close the topic, you see live problems happening all the time, and it's about like experimenting software in production, right?
Yeah. So the idea behind Chaos Monkey. So Chaos Monkey is a solution, an open source software developed by Netflix as well. So basically, the idea is that you cannot trust your service or your servers or your data layer, your compute layer, to like never fail. It will like fail, it's sure. So what Chaos Monkey does, it's basically like just a resiliency tool. And what it does, it's from time to time, it will like shut down an EC2 instance on AWS. So it will shut down a VM, it will shut down something. And the idea is to make sure that you think that way, and you are able like to anticipate this kind of issues, because a server can go down for a different reason. Maybe AWS is simply like retiring the server, or there is an issue inside the data center, anything. And you want to be able, like you want to have your system able to detect these kind of errors and mitigate them, and like simply, okay, if it sees that server is going down, there was some compute running on it, what I need to do now. So that's why we choose to use Kubernetes on AWS with the cluster autoscaler. So basically, on Kubernetes, on EKS, you can have like a desired amount of nodes running. And what's nice with Kubernetes is that Kubernetes have a scheduler, and if it's simply like taking YAML files, and we say, okay, we want to have the Jupyter hub running, we want to have all of these things running, and that's it. And every time someone like go on Naas, login, start, like you start your instance, basically a new pod inside Kubernetes. So it will be your instance will be running somewhere inside our Kubernetes cluster. And if for any reason there is an issue on an instance, then your pod will like go down, and automatically the Kubernetes scheduler will say, okay, I now need to deploy a new instance, and I will like move this pod that just got killed for any reason into this new instance. In addition to that, this allows us to have our infrastructure as elastic as possible. So if we have like 10, 20, 100 people coming in, at the moment we don't have like the compute to run everything, but as soon as people will try to start their instances, the cluster autoscaler into Kubernetes will simply say, okay, I need more compute and I need this kind of compute. So I know that I'm able to deploy this kind of EC2 instances, and it will simply start new EC2 instances and have them join the EKS cluster, so the Kubernetes cluster, and your Naas instance will be able to be scheduled automatically. So
it's basically like the philosophy of putting disorder to establish like kind of equilibrium.
Yeah, it's mainly like it rely on like resiliency. You work around the resiliency, or you make your system the most resilient possible.
So you basically don't say that this problem will never happen. You say it will happen.
Yeah.
What I am gonna do if this happens.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm.
And
this is the way.
With Chaos Monkey, they just like did go one step further, because they are running Chaos Monkey in production at Netflix. So
they are killing their own system like intentionally.
Yeah, correct. And that way they can like sleep in peace, because it's a big machine, and like every minute it's a lot of money. So I really understand why they did this, and I think it's a very nice philosophy to have. Because you cannot assume that you won't ever have an issue with your infrastructure. You need to make sure you have a way.
That's so fun, because I was talking to Dennis Rothman yesterday, which is joining also the project as an AI specialist with us, and is so Dennis, if you can hear us on the replay, you'll be having some fun on our discussion also, because he was basically saying that this Chaos Monkey thing is something of people don't understand yet, but we are already into chaos, since we have dependencies everywhere. And like we are in chaos since 1950, since we've started like globalization of economy and everything. So as a whole planet and economy, we are living into chaos today. So it's not about knowing or trying to prevent something to happen. It's about what are we going to do if those things happen. And it's a broader philosophy. It cannot only be applied to engineering, it can be applied to our own economy and way of seeing what's going on around us. See, for example, what is going on now with the COVID. If we would have been ready of this eventuality of a pandemic happening, and Bill Gates, by the way, was saying it 5 years ago. Like, if we would have been ready preventing what's going to happen, we would have better taken this problem. I think it's a good call to have it in mind. And this chaos monkey engineering is definitely part of our philosophy as well, as we are trying to run Jupyter Notebook as a production environment for everyone.
Yeah, but the only thing is that like it's costing money to think that way because you need to build resiliency. So I understand why countries or other companies don't bother about resiliency that much because it's costing money. But
when you see the damage it's doing to the economy now, you really I think we are going to change our mindset because we're just putting 700 billions of euros into the European economy right now, and this is most likely not even a fraction of what we could have put if we would have built this philosophy and strategy inside our
definitely
government. Emmanuel Macron, if you hear us. So this is the really interesting part I wanted to talk about, because I wasn't really like understanding this much the concept, and as it came to our discussion with Dennis yesterday, I made some more research and realized it was really something important that we need to talk about today, and this is also a part of what we are trying to achieve with Naas. So that's cool. And finally, open source. Of course, open source, because open source is the norm. Right now, open source is the norm, and people don't even realize it. Like, everything is running under the open source technology. Proprietary software are like only a few, and they are built of what is going on in the market. And only there is no totally proprietary technology, because all those technology are basically using open source modules of some kind, right?
Most of them.
Most of them. Do you know software that are 100% closed source and not touching any open source? There is?
Not sure. Maybe on the Windows environment or on Mac OS X. Maybe, but even OS X is like powered by Unix. Well, So I'm not sure, but they have the right to use open source. So, which is nice. Because in the end, because in the end they are like still contributing to open source, even if it's closed. It's different, like
different kind of philosophy. But I really feel like this open source is the only way we can like fix problem altogether, because the power of the crowd and the collective intelligence that come with the open source is way more powerful than any closed doors development.
And it's like having an open API and versus a closed API. We only need to look at Zapier to see that opening your API and allowing different APIs to talk together is like the good way to go. So definitely open source is a good thing. And I really like that in our days that most of the open source technology are like releasing everything open source, but then they are working on a managed solution. If you don't want to bother about infrastructure, about chaos, etc., they can do it for you, or you can host it like directly yourself.
This is definitely what we are trying to do with Naas. We are hosting it for you. It's still open source, but we are trying to manage all the fuss and all the IT hustle that most of the people don't want to take, because they want to be focusing on scripting.
And it's a lot of work to schedule Jupyter notebooks.
It is, we know.
Yeah.
That's good. So of course, Jupyter Interact is also open source. It's the way they are. Netflix is using Jupyter. It's just another layer of Jupyter notebooks, like as a Google Colab or whatever. As Naas, we choose to just stick to the origin of Jupyter because we actually like the experience and we feel it's clean and neat. So this is why we are not trying to change anything from the front end. We are mostly trying to improve what is around the Jupyter, like putting microservices around it, and hopefully enable like more usage of Jupyter in the long run. What else can we say? Like in the end, if you think of it, like having a having a network of notebooks running in your company, if we expand it to a company, means we can also like map all the scripts and understand what is the right decision. If you're using it for your sales, for your marketing, for your finance, for everything, you could actually see how the different notebooks are actually interacting to each other. And as also Dennis told me yesterday, we need to take care of this for enterprise services. We are not trying to understand and on the cloud hosted server what you guys are doing. We just want to manage the machines you're working on. But for an enterprise, and this is why we are trying to build this enterprise offer, we want to be able to have multiple machine runnings and understand what are the different interactions that the scripts have with your tools, so you can trigger the most of it and understand what needs to be done to actually increase your performance and obviously your cash flow. And this is coming back to the name of our entity, which is Cash Story. So we want ultimately to help you generate more cash in the enterprise, because you will be able to understand better the different interconnection of your processes. You will literally digitalize your processes. You will literally automate the intelligence of your people that are using Excel, manually copy-pasting everything by putting everything into a script and running it into notebooks. It will create an interactive and interconnected intelligence that will represent the way you perform and the way you make this company run. So I think it's a good way to end the deal we have here. I want to credit this girl, which is Michelle Effort. I really like the video she was doing, and Kyle also, the other guy from Netflix. I also want to thank Sylvain from the Jupyter team that we talked about here, and he was really nice with us, and he was really helpful and guiding us through the different challenges we are going to face. And thank you for that, Sylvain, if you can hear us one day. And you just need to know that those guys, they are like also working on notebooks and trying to build their solutions. So some of them are oriented on different aspects. We want to be oriented into more integration into the business tools, and having this driver, these templates is really the way we want to differentiate ourselves from the other notebook solutions that are more oriented into a better experience of collaboration for data scientists. We literally think that Jupyter is the new Excel, and that anyone who is already using an Excel today will be able to use a Jupyter notebook tomorrow. So we've built, to end it, we have built a nice doc. We encourage you to look at it and to help us make it better. We have this open source roadmap, which is on kenny.io that you can access. We're going to also share the reference in our Slack channel. We have built this Slack channel called the AI Club, where we want everybody to be able to chat with us, interact, build the product with us. We have this philosophy of building the product in public, so we are really happy to get any feedback you guys want to put, and this is the channel where we are to do it. And we are happy if you guys speak about Naas around you, and we are also opening like a program, or trying to build a program where all the contributors that wants to help us build Naas can contribute on our GitHub.
So this video was an extract of our first happy hour session. It was the first time we were trying to explain the product to a video, in a video like this, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what we do, just subscribe to our YouTube channel or contact us directly. Get your scheduler and your scripts running in Naas. See you!